ॐ शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। योगेन चित्तस्य पदेन वाचां मलं शरीरस्य च वैद्यकेन योपाकरोत्तं प्रवरं मुनीनां पतञ्जलिं प्राञ्जलिरानतोऽस्मि। ॐ Dear friends, welcome to the study of the Yoga Sutras. We were seeing the third pada, that is the Vibhuti pada of Patanjali. And in that Vibhuti pada, we are now seeing various Vibhutis or special attainments, certain supernatural or supernormal attainments which a yogi attains. And we are seeing, trying to see them, analyze them logically. Many of them, they do stand to reason. And we do not know simply because we don't have those powers. We need not dismiss them at the face value, or take them at the face value, or totally dismiss them. Let us analyze. I will now share the screen. We were seeing one interesting sutra in the last class. Yeah, this was the sutra we just completed in the last class. That is, I'll just I'm trying to recapitulate. You see, Bhuvanajnanam Surya Sanyamat. Bhuvanajnanam, the knowledge of all the worlds. I'll just go through very quickly because we just saw it in detail in the last class. We have to do Sanyama on Surya. So Surya is not taken in the literal sense by the commentators. The commentators have taken as the Surya, the bright path or Shukla Gati. In the Vedanta and also in the Gita, we hear about Shukla Gati and Krishna Gati, because various types of actions done by human beings on earth lead to different worlds. So that is our principle. Our Karma Siddhanta says, if you are doing some good job here, you will attain some good worlds. If you are doing some bad deeds here, then you will attain some bad worlds. So there is something which is related to principle of justice. So if you are depending on the good or bad deeds we do, we go either to different good worlds or to different bad worlds. So that is the picture. So here, Bhuvana Jnanam, Bhuvana, we talk about the Chaturdasha Bhuvanas, the 14 Bhuvana. Bhuvana means the worlds, let us say. And 14 worlds, there are 7 upper worlds and 7 nether worlds. 7 nether worlds have not been described here because the yogi is on the positive path. We are not talking about a sinner who has to go to different nether worlds or hellish worlds, hellish regions. We are talking about a yogi who is doing some good work, who has done some austerities, who has purified his mind, and by purification of his mind, he is now entitled to go to certain higher worlds. So that is the reason why Patanjali, not Patanjali, the Bhashyakara, that is Vyasa, has only talked about the heavenly worlds and not about the hellish worlds. So we see here, what are the different worlds? You see, Sanyama, yeah, it's not about sun gazing or meditation on the sun. It refers to the Shukla Gati, as we see in the Vedanta. Then the Puranic idea of the universe, we have 7 nether worlds and 7 upper worlds. Then we just ran through this in the last class also, because I didn't want to read all the entire Bhashya. So where is this Bhuloka, Antarikshaloka, Swarloka, Maharloka, Om Bhu? If you know the Gayatri mantra, we hear about the 7 Vyakrutis. Om Bhu, starting from Bhu also. Bhu, Bhuvaha, Suvaha, Mahaha, Janaha, Tapaha, Satyam. That is Satyaloka, is the highest loka. And when you attain that Satyaloka, there is no return. There is no return in the sense that there is no return to another birth. And in that world only, Satyaloka, a person is supposed to stay there till the end of that particular creation, that particular cycle of creation, and he will be one with the Brahman. He will be one with Brahman at the end of that kalpa. So that is what our books say. And broadly, Vyasa has told the same. And probably that is what Patanjali also meant. We do not know. So here we are talking about Uparinivishtaha, Shanma, Mahanar, these are Bhumihi, Ashtami, Saptadvipa, Vasumati. He talked about the Saptadvipa, Vasumati, the 7 islands, etc. And then again, so there is some geography, some ancient geography. That is 7 Dvipas. And we are talking about the Jambu Dvipa in which Bharata Khanda is also a part. Then all this I skipped because there is no point in going through all those details about our ancient idea about geography. Puranic idea of geography. So this note I will read again. Vyasa is now describing the residents of the upper worlds. So Shankaracharya in his commentary, yeah, this I referred to in the last class, that is in Ishavasya Upanishad, while commenting on a particular mantra. Asuryanamate lokaha andhena tamasavruta Tanste pretyabhigachanti ekesha atmahano janaha. That is the mantra there. On that mantra, while commenting on that particular mantra, it is, I think, fifth or sixth mantra. I'm not very sure about the number. So that mantra, Asuriyanama te lokaha, you can search it. Asuriyanama te lokaha. So there he says, loka does not mean something which is some three-dimensional place which is there somewhere in the heavens, somewhere in the high skies. Loka is a state of existence. Lokyate, anubhuyate, iti lokaha. That is what he says. Lokyate, look. The English word look is cognate. Lokyate, anubhuyate is that is the loka. That is that which is experienced. It is actually a sort of a state of experience, because after the fall of the body, it is the linga sharira which transmigrates, and it is this linga sharira which enjoys some heavenly worlds. So if you want to be very cruel to that doctrine, you may say it is all daydreaming. If you want to be very uncharitable to that, you can say it is all daydreaming. But it stands to reason, because the body, you see, the linga sharira, we can very logically accept it. Because there is so much of experimentation on the past life regression and all that. And there are so many people who are physically present, who tell about the past lives and things like that. So anyway, that Ishavasya Upanishad, what Shankaracharya says is it is a state of experience. So what are these things? And those heavenly words will be told, below. And human life is the karma bhumi. We usually think that India is the karma bhumi, Bharat Desha is the karma bhumi. So I repeatedly tell Bharata Desham is not the karma bhumi. According to Vedanta, according to Upanishads, according to Vedic literature, karma bhumi means the human level of existence. It is only at the human level we have a potential, we have got an opportunity to do good or bad. So this is the karma bhumi. And all other levels, if you are an ant, if you are something else, if you are a mosquito, it is only a bhoga bhumi. And or any other divine loka. It is only a bhoga bhumi where we are experiencing the result of the karma we have done here. So that is the point. So different types of good deeds or austerities, they lead to different celestial worlds, and different bad deeds lead to different nether worlds. So this is how this sutra has been interpreted by Vyasa. So the Prakrutilaya is again another form of realization only, because the physical body just gets absorbed in the Prakrutilaya, and then Viveka Prakriti, then Purusha, Viveka has taken place. So they don't fall under any of these categories. Then we also just read this sutra, Chandre Tara Vyuha Jnanam. In the earlier sutra, we talked about meditation on the sun. That is the bright path. Now it is Chandra. This is Chandra Loka, is otherwise called Pitruloka. It is also called Dhumayana, Devayana and Pitruyana. And it is something which is called the dark path. It is not as though Chandra is dark or anything like that. The bright path is something which is associated with purity, austerity, and Chitta Shuddhi. Chitta Shuddhi means doing some exercises for purifying our mind, etc. In this other path, I may be a very cruel man, and I will be doing some yajna to vanquish somebody else. I may be doing some yajna to conquer this, to do this, to get this, or to attain heaven, etc. So for that also, for any work, there is a reward. Any action, there is a reward also. So even Ravanasura, even all the demons, they can also perform yajnas. They will also get the results. So that is the reason why Brahma is like somebody who he is the law of nature. Brahma is like the law of nature, who, if I do some tapas, if a good man does some tapas, okay, he gives some result. If a bad fellow does tapas, he also gives a result. It is like an evil scientist, let us say, think of an evil scientist who is trying to design something which is to destroy the world. Maybe the virus now. So something like that. So that is also a sort of tapas. So here, Chandra Tara Vyuha Jnana means we are now talking about the worlds which are attained by the dark path, that is by the process of yajna and things like that. Kamya karma, we call it kamya karma. I desire, with all desires, I am doing some karma and I am attaining something. So this is actually, it is not recommended, or rather it is not praised in our literature. If you see particularly Srimad Bhagavatam, there are repeated references to people whose faces are darkened with the smoke emanating from yajna. Dhuma dhumra, dhumra dhumrayata lochanaha, some expressions like that. By that dhumrayata lochana, their eyes have become red and then faces have become dark. So even our buddhis, dhumra even our buddhis have become dark. That is what they say. When Shuka Maharshi goes, they request Shuka, oh Shuka, we have been following only this yajna path, the path of yajna. And even our minds have become dark because of the smoke from this yajna. You please enlighten us. So that is what they ask. So that is the dark path. So probably we have to take this sutra also, Chandra, that is meditating on Chandra. Probably we have to take it as, say, not about the knowledge of the stars, but it is about the lokas, And we also have some stories in the Puranic literature that people who do these yajnas, etc., they become some stars and stay there for some time. And we know the story of Dhruva again in the Srimad Bhagavatam is there and several other places. The story of Dhruva. Dhruva is a person who becomes that pole star according to our Puranic literature. So the Puranic literature also says that a person who does some kamya karma is an action seeking a particular result. I want some benefit from that. So action seeking some benefit. So that type of karma. So they do attain some worlds, heavenly worlds. They are the stellar worlds, we can call them. So he becomes a star. So maybe this yajna, concentrating on this yajna, on this dark path, or meditating on this dark path, may give knowledge of the worlds which will be attained. Or we do not know whether he is really talking about the cosmic arrangement of stars. Vyuha means a sort of vyuha also means a strategy. Vyuha means a sort of arrangement. Vyudha means the army. Suppose it is very well positioned. The army or troops are very well positioned. There, that is called Vyudha. Vyudham Duryodhanastada in Gita we see. Gita, the army is Vyudham. Pasyaitam Panduputranam. Something Mahatim Chamum Vyudham Drupada Putrena. Vyudham, that means very well arranged, very well positioned. So that is what it means. Vyudham Drupada Putrena Avasishyena Dhimata. So here Chandre Sanyamam Krutva Taranam Vyuham Vijaniyat. He is using actually a Vidiling. One has to know. One may know. He is not saying one may know, one has to know. Probably to mean one may know. It is not as though Vyasa is mandating that we have to attain this knowledge. Vyasa is only telling a person will attain. So Vijaniyat. Then the next sutra is again similar to that. Dhruve Tadgati Jnanam. Dhruve, in that Dhruva Nakshatra, what is called the pole star. By doing Sanyama on that pole star, Tad Gati Jnanam, the knowledge of the motion of stars. Tad Gati, we are not talking about the Gati of Dhruva, because Dhruva is something which is firm. Pole star is something which is firm. And around that, all other things are supposed to move. So once we meditate on that Dhruva, we get the knowledge of the motion of stars. So how this has to be understood, we are not very sure. Tato Dhruve Sanyamam Krutva Taranam Gatim Vijaniyat. Here also he is using a Vidiling. Dhruve Sanyamam Krutva. By doing Sanyama on that pole star, Taranam Gatim, the motion of stars, Vijaniyat, one can know. Then Urdhvam Vimaneshu Kruta Sanyamaha, Tani Vijaniyat, Urdhvam Vimaneshu. And the higher in this stars also, various stars are positioned in so many ways. So if you are focusing on the stars which are in the higher levels, those stars which are in higher levels and stars which are in lower levels, So he will also have knowledge of those stars. So he's having some idea about stars which are in higher levels and lower levels, etc. We are not very sure, unless probably maybe somebody who knows some Vedic astronomy, he may be able to throw some light on this. After knowing about the arrangement of stars, the yogi does sanyama on the pole star and attains knowledge of the movement of stars. By the sanyama on higher spheres, that is urdhvam vimaneshu, that is higher spheres, he would attain their knowledge. Then here again, Nabhi Chakre Kaya Vyuha Jnanam. Nabhi Chakra. So here also we are not sure whether Patanjali is actually referring to the so-called Shat Chakras, which are there, which are said to be there in the body. So in the yogic literature, particularly in Hatha Yoga and all that, and also in Tantra particularly, they talk about the 6 chakras and also the Sahasrara. Padma. Sahasrara is not taken as a chakra, but of course, sometimes it is also called Sahasrara chakra. If you include that, it becomes 7. So starting from the bottom, that is what is called Mooladhara, then Swadhisthana, then again Manipura, that is the navel. He is now talking about that Nabhi chakra, that navel plexus. Then again Anahata. Anahata is that somewhere here where the lungs and the heart are located. And then again Vishuddhi. Vishuddhi is Kantha. Then again Ajna chakra, Jna, where the sensory organs are there. The sensory organs, that is, through them we get some knowledge. So that is why it is called Ajna. A little bit of Jnanam is from them. So then again Sahasrara Padma. Sahasrara Padma is something which is higher than that. So that is how the Tantra literature describes. I have not read it much. I have some vague idea of those chakras. So then maybe they are also related with our systems, maybe something to do with excretory system, or maybe something to do with the nervous system, or something to do with our respiratory system. Could be that also. I don't know, but one may check it up. But here, Vyasa is totally silent on that. Vyasa is not making any such comment. But some other commentators have referred to this Tantra literature. Nabhi Chakra. Nabhi Chakre Kaya Vyuha Jnanam. Kaya is body. Vyuha again is, as I said, arrangement. Vyuha Jnanam, the knowledge of the composition of the body or the structure of the body or various not ingredients, we can say various, what can we say that, yeah, we can also say ingredients, various elements which are there in the body. What is it? Yeah, there is only one line. Yeah, 1 or 2 lines. Nabhi Chakre Sanyamam Kurtva Kaya Vyuham Vijaniyat. Here also a Vidhiling is there. Vijaniyat is, one may know, we can take it like that. Nabhi Chakre, by doing Sanyama on this navel chakra, I have used this word chakra because Vyasa has also used this word called chakra. Vyasa has used it chakra, but he is not calling it, what is it, Manipura chakra. Because Nabhi, it is said to be Manipura chakra, the seat of fire. The first is Mooladhara, it symbolizes earth. Then again, water. Swadhisthana is water. This Manipura is fire. Earth, water, fire, then air. Air is this chakra, Anahata. Then again, Vishuddhi is supposed to be the space. And after these Panchabhutas are over, then comes the sensory elements. These Panchabhutas are gross in nature. Then again, the sensory organs, the sense organs rather. Sense organ, of course, one sense organ is there right down to the toe, that is the skin. But apart from that, the face, it is said to be the sort of control room for the entire body-mind complex. So this is here, the sensory, the nostrils and then the tongue, all the things are concentrated here. So this is that Ajna. This is supposed to be the plexus where the instruments of knowledge are located. So Nabhi Chakre Sanyamam Kurtva Kaya Vyuham Vijaniyat. We are not very sure how this is. But he is now talking about Vata, Pitta, Shleshmanaha, Trayo, Doshaha. Ayurveda again. Ayurveda, if somebody knows. We talk about the 3 types of bodies. Vata Prakriti, Pitta Prakriti and Shleshma Prakriti. And those prakritis, if they are in a balance, then a person enjoys good health. If there is some imbalance among them, suppose a vata, somebody like me who is very, very thin, vata, it is supposed to be a dosha. If vata is predominant, that is a dosha. If pitta is predominant, it is a vata is a mixture, more of air and space is said to be vata. Pitta is more of water and fire is said to be pitta. More of among the five elements, I am talking about the five elements. And more of earth and waters is said to be Shleshma. Shleshma Prakriti. In English, I am not very sure. Vata is air. Pitta is what we call bile. Pitta is bile. And Shleshma is phlegm, what we call phlegm. Shleshmanaha trayo doshaha. If any Prakriti is dominant, then it will lead to some sort of imbalance. But in every human being, one Prakriti will be dominant. There is no doubt about it. But it should not be to the level of becoming a dosha. So that is what it may be. Dhatavaha sapta. I am not going into details of this vata, pitta, kapha doshas. Shleshma, it is otherwise called kapha. Then dhatavaha, dhatu. Dhatu means something like, we know in the Sanskrit grammar also there is a dhatu. Everywhere there is a dhatu. Dhatu means the basic building block for any shastra. The basic building block is dhatu. In fact, dhatu also means an element. Then dhatavaha sapta. In the body, what are these dhatus? What are the components in the body? Sapta. There are 7 components. So tvak, lohita, mamsa, snayu, asti, majja. Snayu plus asti, snayivasti, majja, sukrani. What are they? Tvak. Tvak means the skin. In Telugu, we call it tokku. Tokku. Already tokka, we say, when we say tokka, we don't know that it is, we realize that it is a Sanskrit word. Tvak. Lohita is blood, mamsa is flesh, snayu is the sinews, the sinew is a snayu. It again looks like a cognate word. A snayu. Asti is bone, majja is marrow, within the bone, that marrow, bone marrow. And shukra is semen. That is supposed to be the most subtle thing among all the elements, among all these components, among all these dhatus. Shukra is supposed to be the most subtle thing. And purvam esham bahyam ityesha vinyasaha. Purvam esham, of these, the former ones, the former ones are gross with respect to the latter ones. The former is gross with respect to the latter ones. So by doing Sanyama on the navel chakra, one shall know the composition of the body. There are 3 humors. They are called humors in English. We don't really know why they are called maybe humor actually. In English, in their Western culture also probably. They talk about, I think, 4 humors. I'm not very sure. Vata, Pitta, Shleshma. Then there are 7 dhatus, the building blocks for the body. That is skin, blood, flesh, sinews, bones, bone marrow, and semen. Then again, of these, the former is outer or gross with respect to the latter. Purvamesham bahyam. Bahyam means something which is outer. That means something which is gross with respect to the earlier one. Ityesha vinyasa. Vinyasa means their location, their position, their positioning, we can say. Then kantha kupe kshutpipasa nivrittihi. This here also we do not know whether he is referring to the Vishuddhi chakra. Kantha kupa. Kantha means the throat. Kupa means kupa actually means well. Kupodakam, we say kupodakam means water from the well. Tatasya kupoyam iti bruvanaha, saying also kupa is a well. So this well, this kantha well, the well of the throat, that is by doing sanyama on that kantha kupe, kshut pipasa nivrittihi. Kantha kupe sanyamena, by doing sanyama on that, kshut pipasa nivrittihi. Kshut is hunger, pipasa is thirst. Kshut pipasa nivrittihi means they will disappear. The disappearance of kshut and pipasa. By doing that sanyama on this kantha kupa, we are not very sure how they do. Maybe only the experienced yogis should tell us. Kshut pipasa nivrittihi. Cessation of hunger and thirst, or you can even say disappearance, nivritti, total disappearance. Jihvayaha adhaha adhastat tantuhu. Tantohu adhastat kantaha. Tato adhastat kupaha. Tatra sanyamat kshut pipasena badhyate. So he says, Jihvayah adhastat tantuhu. Jihva is tongue. Tongue adhastat, that is below that there is a tantu, there is a thread. And tantoho adhastat, below that kantaha adhastat kantaha. There is that kanta. Yeah, this is this kanta. Tantu is that we can say that jihva is here only. Below that is this this tantu. Tantoho adhastat kantaha. This is kanta. And tatho adhastat kupaha. So probably somewhere here is kupa. So there. Tatra sanyamat, by doing sanyama on that, chut pipase nabadete, this hunger and thirst, they disappeared. So there is not much of commentary on them. We are not sure what it. Kurmanadyam stairyam. This is again a very tricky thing. Kurmanadi, some people say it is called Kundalini. The very location of Kurmanadi is debated by the commentators. So we cannot depend on the commentaries, because unless somebody, some really experienced yogi, really tells, really demonstrates, and by that demonstration, if we are convinced, then we can accept it. Kurmanadyam stairyam. Kurmanadi, some commentator says it is somewhere here, and by just using common sense. So that is by just sitting straight and then from bottom to top in one line, like in the Gita says in one line, Sthiram Asanam Atmana. What is this? In one line, the head, the trunk, and the entire head and the what is the spinal cord in one line. It has to be there, perpendicular to the earth. So that is the people say that, and some other people they say it is Kundalini, which is somewhere near Swadhisthana Chakra. We are not sure about it. By Sanyama on the tortoise energy path. So this Kurma Nadi is again. We are aware of what are called the five pranas. Prana, in fact, the air we breathe is said to have five functions within the body. In fact, in one of the earlier sutra also we saw, one of the earlier sutras, we saw that is prana, apana, vyana, udana, samana. These are the five functions rather of the same air. The air we breathe. Prana is the air we exhale, and apana is that we take in. Prana, upana, samana, okay, prana, hritik prani, gudeyapana, samano, navi samsthita. That samana air is supposed to be there somewhere in the navel region. Samano, navi samsthita. Udana, kantha deshastu. Udana is supposed to be in the kantha. Vyana, sarva shariragaha. Vyana is there all over the body. So these are supposed to maintain the energy levels within the body. And samana is one thing which is spread out. Samano nabhidesha. Though it is there in the nabhidesha, it is supposed to be controlling the whole movement of all these energy paths. So somewhat like that they say. And these are the five are the main pranas. There are some more upapranas, again five. I don't remember the names. Kurma, Dhananjaya, some names are said. Kurma is one such path, Kurmanadi. And in this yogic literature, they talk about Pingala, Ida, Sushumna, etc. We are not very sure what they mean. And this Kurmanadi is one such nadi. That there is a path, energy path. So there, if you are sitting with full awareness of that thing, fully conscious of it, and fully meditating on that, then stairyam is stability. You just can't be shaken. So one commentator has also talked about Angada who in Ravanasura's Sabha, who puts his foot there, and he challenges if there is some warrior, come and shake my foot. So all the people, they come and they try to shake his foot, and they can't even shake his foot. So maybe we do not know what that is. By doing sanyama on the energy path known as kurma, one attains the stability of body. And Vyasa gives the example of Kupad Adhaha Urasi. Vyasa is talking about the chest. Kupad Adha. Kupa is, we talked about Kanta Kupa. Then Kupad Adhaha. Adha is below. Urasi, somewhere in the chest. Kurma Nadi, Kurmakara Nadi. We don't know whether there is some sort of some bundle of nerves in the form of a tortoise. We do not know. Tasyam Krita Sanyamaha. In that, if somebody is doing sanyama is Sanyama I need not explain. Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi, Trayam Ekatra, Sanyama. We are doing concentration. We are concentrating on that, meditating on that. Sthira Padam Labhate. So he becomes very, very stable. And he gives the example of Sarpa, Yatha Sarpaha Godhava. Yatha Sarpaha. Sarpa is said to, once we know that we have seen the snake mounds. We also see some snakes just coming out and entering in. Once the snake tries to goes in, puts its head down, then even if a strong man tries to pull if you catch the, what is this, tail, and then if you want to pull it, one cannot pull, it seems. So that is what they say. Sarpa is said to be having a very strong base. Or maybe they are also talking about Kundalini. It is just coiled and it is having such a firm base. We do not know. Godha is another, in Telugu we call it Udumu. I'm not very sure what it is called in English. It is somewhat like a mongoose, slightly bigger than a mongoose. And many people in the forest, they are very fond of eating that particular godha, because this particular animal, bigger than mongoose, it has such a hold. Suppose it holds on to a wall, it just holds on, and then it can't be even pulled out. So people in olden days, the people, if you want to conquer the enemy's fort, they used to tie one rope to the waist of that, in the middle of the body of that godha, and then launch it, put it some high, and then that goes and catches. Once it catches there, then again some lean fellow like me, he will he will climb up. So climb up, and then again he will fix it there, and then again pull all other people. So something like that. So they used to climb. They used that godha in order to climb walls and fort walls, etc. So that is the point. Godha is supposed to be having such a firm grip. So yogi also, by doing Sanyama, he becomes Sanyama on the Kurma Nadi. He gets that stability or firmness. Then Murdha Jyotishi, Siddha Darshanam, Murdha Jyotishi. Murdha is this top of the skull. Murdha Jyotishi, Siddha Darshanam. Murdha Jyotishi Sanyamat. We have to understand it as Sanyamat. Murdha Jyotishi Sanyamat, Siddhanam Darshanam. We have vision of the Siddhas. Who are these Siddhas? Siddha, Sadhyam, Sadhanam, Siddha. We know this word. Sadhanam means Sadhyam is something which has to be achieved. Siddha means somebody who has achieved it. Something which is Siddham. Siddhi means something which has been achieved. Siddha is a person who has achieved it. So all these Siddha Darshanam. So that means these are the people who have attained some supernatural powers, or they may also be enlightened people. We also talk about Advaita Siddhi, Naishkarmya Siddhi, etc. Siddha is a person who has attained that Siddhi. So Siddhi can be this type of Siddhi, or Siddhi can be real enlightenment. But here, of course, we are not talking about real enlightenment. Maybe we are talking about the people who have attained various supernatural powers. And in fact, once a few years ago, one Swamiji, he promised to show me some siddhas. I accompanied him into the jungle a few years, 3 or 4 years ago. So I accompanied him into a jungle, and he asked me to close and then close my eyes and then turn around. And then he asked me to look back. When I again turned back, I saw some very, very tall figure. I was not sure how that tall person had come. The tall man spoke something to me and also sprinkled some water on me. And again, then after just a few minutes later, this Swami who led me there, he asked me, okay, turn around. He has to go now. So I did not know how he came. I did not know how he disappeared. But when I just turned around, that person was there. Physically, I saw. So I do not know whether it is real or something manipulated or somebody who was standing on stilts. I am not sure. But anyway, within a couple of minutes, a few minutes maybe, within a couple of minutes, that entire thing could be arranged. So it means there was something in that. So Siddha Darshanam, we are not sure whether it is real or not. So then Siddha Darshanam, and there are people who claim to be about 200 years old or 300 years old. In fact, I have also met such people At least 2 times I met people who are said to be about 200 years old. Okay, by doing Sanyama on the skull vault, this is the skull vault, there is what is called a Brahmarantra. Vyasa is going to say that the yogi has the vision of the liberated persons or siddhas. Maybe I have to, I should remove this word liberated, because liberated persons, they will not be like liberated persons again. Of course, there is also Vedanta also accepts that liberated persons also may come back to the normal world. They are called the Adhikara Purushaha. Adhikara Purushaha, they come back to the normal world in order to maybe teach the people, in order to do some good things on earth, in order to protect dharma, maybe something like that. So let us see the commentary. Shirah kapale antashidram prabhaswaram jyotihi. Shirah kapale, kapala is this is the thing, kapala. Kapala again is cupola, that Latin word. Kapala is something like a dome. Kapala is a dome, cupola. Kapala antashidram, there is a chidram, there is a hole. In fact, in the case of newborn, before the bones they come together, and then before the bones get ossified, some sort of some small gap can be seen. Even the nerves that you can see, then very totally newborn baby, you can see this. There's a blood vessels also, and that dilating. Shirah kapale antashidram prabhaswaram jyotihi. There is a brilliant light, prabha prakashena bhati. That is a very, very brilliant light. Tatra sanyamam krutva. That is supposed to be, it is called the Brahmarandra. Tatra sanyamam krutva. There, by meditating on that, siddhanam. Who are these siddhas? Dyava prithivyoho antarala charinam darshanam. Siddhanam. Who are these siddhas? Means Dyava prithivyoho. Dyu means heaven. Prithvi is earth. Dyava prithivyoho means between heaven and earth, antarala charina, antarala, between heaven and earth, they are moving. Darshanam, they don't come on foot, they just appear. They just come from the sky and then land there. I do not know whether the person I saw was of that type. I do not know. But in a couple of minutes, he had come, and in a couple of minutes, he had disappeared. So even putting up stills also, it is very, very difficult in that brief time. I'm not sure. Antarala charinam darshanam. So the skull bones join in the center of the skull vault, indicating the gap which existed in the case of a newborn baby prior to ossification. In yogic literature, it is called Brahmarandra. Vyasa has not used the word Brahmarandra. Antaschidram. This is chidram. Chidram is the hole. This hole is called the Brahmarandra. Prabhaswaram jyotihi. Then, yogis meditate on this. Then pratibhadva sarvam. Pratibham. From pratibham. Pratibhat is Panchami Vibhakti of pratibham. Pratibham is pratibha. We know the word pratibha. Pratibha means talent. Pratibha usually means, oh, he has got so much of pratibha. Pratibhavan we say. Pratibhashali we say. The tadhita form for pratibha is pratibham. Something belonging to pratibha is pratibham. Something coming out of pratibha is pratibham. So what is that pratibham? Pratibhadva sarvam. Pratibha is that ability to visualize, ability to think, ability to foresee. Pratibham is the intuitive knowledge. So by sanyama on the intuitive knowledge, sarvam, all is known. So by sanyama on the intuitive knowledge, all is known. So I've just explained the word pratibha. The word pratibha means visualization. The intuitive knowledge which results from pratibha, not only visualization, pratibha can mean several things. Pratibha also can mean talent. Pratibha is ability, a great ability. Not valor or anything, great ability in anything, pratibha. Then maybe in literature, it may be science, it may be, say, in very brilliant thinking. So particularly with reference to thinking, not with reference to body. So here, the intuitive knowledge which results from pratibha is pratibham. Pratibham jnanam, because jnanam is napumsakalinga, we can take it as pratibham. Pratibhat is from that knowledge, from that intuitive knowledge, by doing sanyama on that intuitive knowledge. Pratibham nama tarakam. Intuitive knowledge is tarakam. Tarakam, what is tarakam? Tarayati. Tarati is crossing over. Suppose I am Nadim Tarati, means I am crossing a river. That is by swimming or what, means whatever. So, Tarayati. Tarayati means somebody who is making us, who is actually making us cross over. That is Tarakam. Pratibham Nama Tarakam. It is something which enables us to cross over. Cross over what? Cross over this ocean of samsara. Cross over all our kleshas. That is how we can take it here. Pratibham Nama Tarakam. Tarakam is that which enables us to cross over. Tad vivekajasya jnanasya purva rupam. This is the purva rupam, means that is the initial stage or the stage which is prior to the stage of viveka. Viveka means clear discrimination between the what is this purusha and prakriti. So the purusha and prakriti are the two things which have to be that their difference has to be known. That is the ultimate goal. Purusha prakriti viveka. So this tad vivekajasya jnanasya purva rupam. That is the initial stage, or rather the what can we say, the stage prior to the dawn of knowledge of the distinction of purusha and prakriti. Jnanasya purva rupam. Yatha udaye prabha bhaskarasya. Udaya is morning. Prabha bhaskarasya. Bhaskarasya prabha. That is a dawn. Before sunrise, there is a dawn. There is a brilliant dawn. So tenava sarvameva janati yogi pratibhasya jnanasya utpattau iti. Pratibhasya jnanasya utpattau, on the rise of that pratibham jnanam, on the rise of that intuitive knowledge with the arising of that intuitive knowledge, a yogi knows sarvameva janati. He knows everything. Yes, by such rise of intuitive knowledge, the yogi knows everything. Then Hrudaye Chitta Samvit. Hrudaya again is a tricky word in Vedantic literature. Hrudaya, we take it as normally the heart. Hrut and heart, again cognate words. Hrut, heart. Hrudaya. Hriyate iti hrudayam. Wonderful etymology also is there. Hriyate iti hrudayam, that which is stolen. The people whose hearts are stolen by somebody else. So that is how it is, that is called Hrudaya. So Hrudaye Chitta Samvit, by doing Sanyama on this Hrudaya, Chitta Samvit, one attains the entire composition of the Chitta. Chitta means, we know about Chitta Vrittis and all that. Chitta is something like Mano Buddhi Ahankara Chitta Nidaham. We'll take it like that. Manaha, Buddhi, Ahankara and Chitta all put together. Let us call it Chitta. Chitta is collectively, in English, we can use one word called mind. Mind, which is at 4 levels: mana, the level of manas, the level of buddhi, the level of ahankara, the level of chitta. So chitta samvit, the whole knowledge of the entire knowledge of that chitta, the functioning of chitta. So why is that Hridaya? How is that heart connected with the chitta? So in Vedanta, not Vedanta, I can say Upanishad. When I say Vedanta, we may think that it is something, we are trying to superimpose something on this. The Vedantic literature, the Upanishadic literature, which is also accepted by Patanjali. Patanjali also accepts the Upanishadic literature. It is not as though he has rejected the Vedas and Upanishads. So Hrudaye Chitta Samviti is, Hrudaya, that Upanishadic literature says that in the Sushupti means the deep sleep state. We know that there are 3 stages. Vedanta discusses 3 stages. That is the waking state, the dream state, and the deep sleep state. There are only 3 states of experience. So in that deep sleep state, where is mind withdrawn? The mind is withdrawn into the heart through a particular nadi, a particular nerve, through a particular passage called Puritat. It is called Puritat nadi. Through that Puritat nadi, the mind takes rest in that heart. That is what it is said. Maybe science has to validate it, we do not know. But then the mind, where has it gone? Mind is said to take rest in that Puritat nadi. We go through that Puritat nadi and take rest in the Hridaya. So that is the reason why Hridaya and mind, brain, they are mind again is not brain. Brain is a physical thing. Mind is the ability. Mind actually is the ability. It is the storehouse of all our experience, storehouse of all the chitta vrittis. So that is the mind, not the physical brain. So Hridaya and Chitta, they are almost synonymously used. That is what we see in Hridaya Pundarika. For example, we talk about the Hridaya Pundarika. In that Hridaya Pundarika, Paramatma shines. Hridaya Pundarika, Paramatma is not shining on this Hridaya Pundarika. We do not know. It is not the Hridaya Pundarika which is shining. He is shining in that Buddhi. Buddhi, Antahkarana, Pratibimba, we say. Antahkaranavachinnam Chaitanyam Jivaha. So that what we call all our knowledge is because of that Chaitanya Pratibimba of that Shuddha Paramatma. That is how we take it. So by doing Sanyama on the heart, Chitta Samvit, the yogi attains the knowledge of Chittam, the intellect. By doing Sanyama on the, okay. So now I have given a small note. Upanishads talk of the heart space, which is said to be the place. Yeah, there is he is going to refer to one line from Chandogya Upanishad. Before that, I'll read this note. They talk about the heart space, which is said to be in the place, which is said to be the place in which the reflection of Purusha happens. Prakriti and the Purusha, Purusha's reflection happens. This heart is not the physical blood pumping heart, but the buddhi only. During deep sleep, the mind is said to go through the Purita Tandaru and rest in the heart. Hence, the intellect and heart are used interchangeably. So here Vyasa writes, he actually quotes this line from Chandogya Upanishad. Chandogya Upanishad, 8th Adhyaya, the first mantra. Yadidam asmin brahmapure daharam pundarikam veshma. It goes like that. Yadidam asmin brahmapure daharam pundarikam veshma. Idam, this asmin brahmapure, in this brahmapuri. This Brahmapuri means this city of Brahman. The whole body-mind complex is the city of Brahman. And Daharam is Alpam, small. Pundarikam Veshma, Hridaya Pundarika, it is called Hridaya Pundarika, this heart lotus. That is the Veshma. Veshma means house. Veshma is house. So, Asmin Brahmapura, in this Brahmapura, there is a city. In the city called the body-mind complex, this Brahma dwells in this Veshma called Hridaya Pundarika. That means the Shuddha Chaitanya is reflecting in the Antahkarana of every being. So that particular Antahkarana, whether you call it heart or whether you call it Buddhi, whatever you may call, because of that Chaitanya, because of that consciousness, reflection of that consciousness, we are able to see all things. We are able to cognize various things. So Daharam is small, Alpam. Pundarikam Veshma. Pundarika is that lotus flower. Pundarika also refers to the Pundarika Shaya, something to do with the tiger. I have forgotten that. Pundarikam Veshma. Tatra Vijnanam. So there, this mind dwells, he says. There, the mind dwells. So the Chandogya Upanishad, if you can refer to that, it will also give some explanation for this. Tasmin Sanyamat, Chitta Samvit, Tasmin Sanyamat, by doing Sanyama on this Pundarikam Veshma, this Hridaya Pundarika, in which mind is supposed to take rest, then we have the knowledge of the Chitta. We have knowledge of various activities of the mind, various Chitta Vrittis and whatnot. We have time? Yeah, we have time. Vyasa quotes the line from the Chandogya Upanishad, which talks of meditation known as Dahara Brahma Vidya. So we know that Chandogya Upanishad talks about several upasanas. Chandogya Upanishad usually, that is one Upanishad which talks about so many upasanas. Upasana, we know that Upasanam Nama, Tulya Dhara, Pratyaya Santati, I told it several times. That is, Upasana is meditating like a stream. That thought stream has to be in a particular way only and undisturbed by dissimilar thoughts and like that. So Upasanas on various things. And ultimate aim is to purify oneself, and ultimate aim is to attain Brahman only. But these are all various steps. We know that Veda is in roughly divided into three parts, or roughly visualized in three parts, not divided, visualized in three parts. That is Karma Kanda, Upasana Kanda, and Jnana Kanda. Karma is the pure action level where karma is performed, where yajna, etc. is performed without application of mind. Then suddenly this mind comes in. Then suddenly somebody, he listens to that mantra and then he realizes, oh, there is such beautiful meaning in this mantra. Why are we not meditating on this mantra? So he does some meditation also. So that is upasana, which is also associated with karma. It is technically called Karmanga Avabaddha Upasana. Karmanga Avabaddha Upasana. It is built into the or embedded into the karma. So that is also a Upasana. That is a higher level. So without karma, again, if you do Upasana, that is still higher level. Then again, pure Vichara, Atma Vichara, that is the highest level. That is like this Purusha Prakriti Viveka, that is the highest level. So Dahara Brahma Vidya, this Dahara Akasha. So this Hrudaya Pundarika, there is Dahara Alpa Akasha. Why is it called Akasha? Akasha means space. Space is something which has no shape, which has no form, no shape, no guna, no characteristics. So this whatever space what we call in the Hrudaya Pundarika is the same as the outer space, is the same as the Maha space. So like the Ghatakasha and Mahakasha, this Chaitanyam which is there which is supposed to be there reflecting in the Antahkarana is not different from that Shuddha Chaitanya which we call Brahma, or in yoga parlance we can call it Purusha. So though Purusha or Brahman is infinite in nature, lay persons we are all used to think in terms of attaining the abode of Purusha. Why does this Upanishad talk about Upasana? Means we always think in terms of attaining some place, attaining some heavenly abode. Hence, for such minds, meditation is prescribed by the Upanishad. Sanyama mentioned by Patanjali in this sutra is the same as the meditation mentioned in the Upanishad. The meditation is on the heart space, that is Dahara Akasha, because the all-pervading Purusha exists there too. It is said to be the reflection of Purusha on that Antahkarana.